welcome along to this edition of SportsView on Lair Media. The usual email, info@lairmedia.tv. Good evening, Anna Moore.
Good evening, Pat.
Good evening, Derwynne Honan, and welcome.
Hey, Pat, how are you?
Good evening, Joe Waters, and welcome.
Hi, Pat. Hi, everybody.
Good evening, Chris Price, and welcome again.
Thank you, Pat. Welcome, everyone.
I suppose we're going to start off this evening with soccer, and don't forget, everybody looking at this, to press the red button to subscribe to our channel. It's free of charge, and share the program as well with all your friends, and we're very grateful for that up to now. Anyway, we had the European Championship for Women, Ladies Championship, finished up yesterday with a magnificent win for England over Germany 2-1. We're claiming Chloe Kelly as our own. I am claiming Chloe Kelly as my own here, with Chloe Kelly and Rachel Daly. A shout out to Rachel Daly and Liz Walsh. Shout lads. Anyway, they're on loan to England, so they won't. Only joking, really. Which is a magnificent result for England. And no mean feat when you saw the cynicism in the first 20 minutes of the Germans. They tried to rattle England, but fair play to them. Very good result. Also, we'll be looking at Liverpool against Man City, what we call the Charity Shield, which is a glorified friendly, although with some of the tackles in it and some of the things, it wasn't that much of a friendly, in my opinion. I saw the whole match myself. Celtic and Rangers opened up proceedings in Scotland. The Premiership began, and they both had usual wins as well. I was impressed with Company. He's in management here. He's taken over Burnley, and they were really, I know they only won 1-0, but they played a fantastic match on Friday night, if anybody saw it, to beat, to win their game away to Huddersfield Town in the Championship. And obviously, Joe, I'm afraid Grimsby are going to find it tough, are they?
Well, I mean, to be honest, we've never really had a good record down in London against Leyton Orient. So they played well, apparently. They just couldn't score goals. But it's early days yet. He's still signing, I believe, 3 or 4 more players that he's trying to get. So he's made a big change from the team that won promotion last year. So I think it's going to take a little while for him to get it together.
Now, Anna, did you see the England beating Germany in the women's championship?
I did. I thought there in the first half that there was an incident where I thought Germany should have got a penalty, but that was just my opinion, But I was delighted. For once, I was delighted England won. I really was. Germany had won it 8 times. So, it was great to see someone else, especially when there was Irish people playing on it,
Yeah, and Derwynne, what did you see the match, Derwynne?
I did. Yeah, I watched it. It was good. I thought it was about time England won something at Wembley.
Yeah. And there was this dreaded spectre of a possibility of penalties looming large till they got that goal in extra time, Again.
It would have been interesting to go to penalties, I think.
Yeah.
But Pat, you remember last week we were saying about, like the women's sport weren't getting the crowds. I mean, there was 80,000 in Wembley yesterday. It was brilliant to see it.
It was, and they got €660,000 for winning the European Championship, and the Italian men got 10 million. Anyway, Chris, for winning the European Championship. Chris, what did you think of the match? Did you see some of it?
I did. I actually watched it all. I mean, it was feisty. It was there was some tackles there. I mean, you could have heard it from where I was sitting. They were
full on.
I think it was full on. You could tell there's a little bit of history between those two teams. I thought there was. I'm gonna be objective here. There was cynicism both sides. Okay, some of the tackles were borderline. As I reckon, if it was a man's game and it was played in the Premier League, probably would have been 2 red cards. I felt that it reminded me of the way the hurling is refereed. That some of the matches were in the beginning of the tournament were refereed kind of like whistle happy refereeing, and then you get the final where the referee just seemed to just say, "Here, go for it, girls." And But I did think that I will say one thing, that the Germans did seem to rough up the English goalkeeper in the second half, thinking that they were trying to kind of wear her down if it did come to penalties. That's what I felt, because there was a couple of instances where she got a couple of bad knocks or whatever. But it was a feisty game. There was a lot of technical ability on both sides. I thought Germany, for about 60 odd minutes, with a better team, missed an awful lot of good chances. Their shooting was weak. And, listen, when it comes to the final, and, the professionals around will tell you, all it takes is one chance. And England took that one chance. A brilliant goal. The German goal was a cracking goal too. But
That was amazing goal.
yeah, I mean, the German goal was a cracker. But the thing about it is that I just felt the last 10 minutes or so, maybe the Germans were playing for penalty. Maybe, I don't know. I think they were going for the winner, but they kind of left themselves exposed to a killer punch, and they seem to be a bit weak on corners. But as I said earlier, the English gave an exhibition of how to kill the clock in the last 6 or 7 minutes.
And Joe, did you get to see some of the women's game?
I saw all of it. Of it, and I thought it was a terrific game. And anybody that really didn't enjoy it as a spectacle is not a real soccer fan.
Yeah.
It was a terrific game by two really committed teams, and it's a final. You expect no prisoners to be taken in a final.
Oh.
And the referee could have done a bit of a better job of keeping it under control, but that's neither here nor there. I thought that Germany, it was looking very ominous after Germany scored. England looked tired. I think that on for the equalising goal, that Germany scored a well-worked goal, but our girl Daly, the left back, got caught forward and didn't have the energy to recover, and she let a runner get past her, and she did the same thing in the first half from a corner when England were very lucky not to concede from it. They just managed to keep it out. But I think that the defining moment in the game was Germany were pushing. They got into extra time. What was interesting to me, I was watching the teams at the break between the end of regulation and the start of extra time, and the English goalkeeper is getting her legs rubbed. I've never seen that with a goalkeeper before. It's usually field players that are getting their legs rubbed. It was the goalkeeper this time. She got knocked a couple of times. I think, like Chris said, that there was a couple of challenges went in on her that were a little bit naughty, to be really honest. But the defining one was Germany's last substitution when they brought off the centre back, and I don't know why they had to bring her off, but that girl had won everything in the box, had thrown her body in front of everything. And England were deliberately playing corners away from the middle of the box. They were playing them to the back post so they could put them back across the goal. And I think for the winning goal, that was the difference, that she was not there in the mixer to win that header, and England took full advantage of it.
Well, Joe, that's excellent, because you can't compare the women's soccer with men's soccer. It's run on the same rules, but really, I mean, it's refreshing to me. I watched the whole match actually, and it's refreshing to me not to see people. Okay, I mean, players get injured if you're genuine injured, but rolling around and calling the ref, and you don't see that in the women's game. They get up and get on.
Well, there was one instance. I mean, even though I did say that the English goalkeeper was roughed off a bit, there was one incident where she kind of over-egged the pudding, where she claimed that she was stamped on her knee when the camera angled, and I looked at it 3 times because I thought, well, if she's being stamped on her knee, this is a red card offence. Simple as that. And it was coming to that kind of time in the game where a decision like that could have changed the entire outcome. And I looked at it, and she wasn't touched. The foot was right beside her leg, her knee, fair enough. But to be honest with you, if you're rolling around, and this is what I always say about people when they're exaggerating. When you're exaggerating and when you're feigning an injury, you roll around as if you know, like a somersault or whatever. If you're really hurt, you won't move. You just basically are there in agony, hanging on for dear life. And
Yeah.
she was screaming. And I think, well, if she's that bad, she needs to be taken off. And she wasn't taken off because obviously she's a goalkeeper. But the thing about it was she wasn't injured, and that's the point of it. But that was the only time where I felt that they were kind of, it was just going down that route.
Now,
To be honest on that, I saw that differently to
Okay.
Chris. In my opinion, the German girl she knew she was not going to win the ball, and she kept going through with it, and she lifted her leg up, and she could have hurdled the goalkeeper no problem.
She could have.
Right? But she was trying to either one really intimidate the goalkeeper or leave her foot there to just catch her. I thought when I watched it a couple of times, I thought she just caught her, and no, it wasn't. It wasn't one that you're looking at and saying, "Oh, this is going to be one that really hurts," kind of thing. But I think she left it in and got a little bit of it. But that was just what I saw. But I agree. The goalkeeper made the most of it as they do. And at that time in the game, England were really struggling.
Yeah,
they were struggling to hold on for the I don't know if it was a draw at the time or if they scored, but it was just a little bit. And I watched a couple of them. The girl that actually charged in from the corner kick, that deliberately, in my opinion, made contact with the goalkeeper. She had no chance of winning the ball, and she just followed through.
Oh, that was at least a yellow card for that one.
Yeah, I thought so.
I mean, we wish England well. Hopefully, I mean, to give an awful lot a good fill up and a good boost to women's soccer in all these islands close to here with England, because when all is said and done, they are only we have a huge connection, diaspora with Britain in general. So I mean, when all is said and done, we rejoice in their victory. Liverpool 3, Man City 1. Now the Community Shield normally doesn't take on any importance. Sometimes it doesn't. People ignore it. But I myself, this is my personal view, watching the match, I saw the match, and I thought that Liverpool, I think, wanted to win it more than City. And this is a stupid thing to say, I know. They both want to win a match when they go out and play against each other. I think Liverpool look more a settled unit to me than City does. Although I will say that new chap up front, Haaland, he's a big lad, and I'll tell you, he's an athletic lad, and he will cause serious problems for an awful lot of teams this year. There's no doubt about it. Derwynne, did you get to see that match?
I did. I just.
What do you think of it?
I thought Liverpool looked fitter than City. To be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like De Bruyne to me looked a bit scrappy, looked a bit untidy, considering it's De Bruyne. I just thought they looked fitter.
More in Anna, did you see the match?
I did, yeah. I agree with Derwynne. I thought I even said it to my daughter. I said, that's not the City we know at all. I said, the fitness wasn't there, and as Derwynne said, it did look like from the very beginning, I thought Mo Salah ran like I've never seen him do before, and I do think, as you said, Liverpool wanted that shield more than anyone. But then again, whether it's City or Liverpool or anybody, if there's a cup or a shield there, you want to win it. And it's no good saying it's a Mickey Mouse or it's this. It's a trophy and you want to win it. And to win one at the start of a season is good. It doesn't define the season. It won't, because as you said, the new guy that City have got, I know he missed a sitter, but I think that he will give an awful lot of trouble to a lot of teams and coming along, as will Derwynne for Liverpool. I thought he was excellent as well.
I think Haaland isn't, or City don't know how to play Haaland, because he had a few breaks there where if they put the ball over the top, he broke free and he was in clear space. yet they passed it back left towards Grealish, or it went back again. It like City to me don't look like the team that are going to push the ball through defenders. It's not going to go over the top for his runs, and he looks to me like he wants to turn and run all the time.
Exactly.
But Darren, it looks like, I mean, to me, City will be the ones to contend with. They will be. But yesterday, definitely watching the game, or Saturday, it wasn't the City. They had the fitness. They didn't want to. It looked like they didn't really want to run. I don't know. They just didn't look like the City that we usually see.
I can't remember who did it. Whether it was. I think it might have been Keane. He broke down a couple of moves where they circled Haaland, where he turned and gone, and the ball went left or went sideways again from City. When in fact, if they'd popped it over the top, he was away and free.
Yeah.
And to me, it looked like City don't know how to play him, and he doesn't know how City play themselves.
Well, Joe, did you see the match?
That's what it looked like to me. It looked like
I
and,
did see a bit of it. You know, it's a funny thing. You know, the Charity Shield used to be a great event, and it still is kind of. But I think out of the last 10 teams that have won it, only one has gone on to win the league championship. So it's never been a real kind of guide as to how the season is going. But to touch on what you're talking about there, Derwynne and Anna, you know, City have not played with a centre forward for a long time. And they haven't played with a centre forward that can turn and burn. And to get used to that, I mean, all of their stuff has been down the outsides. Trying to isolate fullbacks and get one-on-one with them, or get balls in behind them. And this is going to be a whole new thing for them. And it's going to be a whole new thing for Haaland as well to fit into this. Because he's going to have to learn how to play the City way, you know. And you know, Pep's thing is, what is it? It's got to be 14, 15 touches to score a goal or something like that. Maybe even more. So for them to start going a little bit more direct is going to be kind of totally alien to them, really.
It'll be a learning curve, It'll be a learning curve.
There was one example there, Joe, where I think he got away from Van Dijk. And he was in clear space. And the ball literally, like, you're sitting there going, knock it over the top of Van Dijk. He's free. And it went left to Green.
No, Chris.
Like, oh, what? You're not seeing this or what?
Yeah, I saw that. And Chris, I don't want to pick out any player, but I don't think City are going much further with that guy Grealish. I think he's proving to be a disaster.
Well, look, first of all, about Haaland, this is a classic case of, reminds me of when AC Milan were in their pomp in the late 80s and early 90s, when they bought players so that no one else could get them. And I mean, Haaland will score goals for him, but the problem is here for Man City is now they're going from one philosophy to an alien philosophy now, because Haaland isn't that type of player to just kind of pass and move, play it through the I mean, as you said, there's a ball over the. When's the last time you saw a Man City player kick a ball over the top of the fence? Never happens. So, you know, it's going to be. I mean, why is it? I mean, listen, to say it's going to be a learning curve, crikey. You at this stage they need to buy the finished article. You know, he is the finished article, but he's not their finished article, right? So that's the problem that's going that Man City have. And to me, they just, maybe I'm wrong. People can correct me on this, but I just feel that they bought him to stop the likes of Liverpool or Chelsea getting him. And that to me is going back to the AC Milan days when they bought the likes of Lentini, who would have walked onto any team in Italy or Europe, but couldn't get a game for AC Milan. And that's what happened. And you talk about Grealish. Well, look, see, the problem about the clubs of Man City is that they know that they have to buy into the local population. They're going to have to buy one or two, English players. I mean, look, Man United would be my team, But Harry Maguire is the biggest disaster that they've ever bought, and that's not that's not an overstatement. That's just reality. You know, there's an old saying in Belfast: he couldn't kick back doors for the bin men. That's exactly what. And I mean, look, when you're paying 80 million for people like him, right? Grealish is 100 million. What has Grealish done in the 1 year apart from maybe just pass and move? I mean, he does not contribute a lot, and I can see him either sitting on the subs bench or being shifted on in a year's time because he's not that type of player for City, and he's not good enough.
And
It's
he
as
likes
simple as that.
subbing as well. Yeah.
Well, he's no. Listen. You're talking about. I mean, you look at the top 4 teams in the league now, right? The vast majority of those players are not from England, right? That's a fact. It's not, and it has a knock-on effect to the English national team, because basically it seems to be that the English national team really only have a pick of between 50 and 60 players at the top level. Now, that's unsustainable for that national team going forward in their top league, and that's a problem. And when you see that their top players are getting hammered left, right, and center by social media and by their own fans because they're below par, it doesn't look good. Do you know what? It could be a case that when it comes to November, the likes of Grealish, Maguire, and a few others would be delighted to get to the World Cup just to get away from the Premier League.
That's true. They'll have a break this year. SportsView is the programme. info@learnmedia.tv is our email. Press the red button on the right hand side to subscribe to our channel. It's free of charge. Share it with all your friends and give us a like. Thank you very much. We'll just move quickly along. We'll come back to soccer before we finish anyway, you know. We can have more thoughts on the upcoming fixtures for the weekend. We'll be looking at them. Golf briefly. The women's Scottish Open was won by Farouk, who's a novice. She won at -21. I was watching my favourite golfer, my favourite women's golfer, Lydia Ko. I just love watching her. I think she's a great temperament and just a great attitude. And that's just me. She finished at -16, but she was leading. She was played very well. It's on YouTube, all those golf tournaments. Anyway, she won up in Scotland, and Caroline Boutier was runner-up from France. Very, very nice player as well. And I don't know, will we see any of those at the Irish Open coming up in next September? I don't know, I hope we will. The Hero Open in St Andrews was won by Cockle at -22. I must say I know nothing about the golf. Did anybody see any of the golf over the weekend? I think
I've lost signal there.
Yeah, I didn't see much of it, Papa. I'm a bit perplexed by your comments there about Henrik Stenson.
About who?
Henrik Stenson. I'm a bit perplexed about that. I mean, why? Well, I mean, why do you think they went over the top? Well, why do you think he went over the top?
Oh, he was stripped of the Ryder Cup captaincy.
Absolutely. So why do you think the commentary went over the top of him?
Hey guys, I lost the signal there.
Derwynne is. Oh yeah, okay, Derwynne. Well, I thought he went over the top. He was stripped of the Ryder Cup captaincy for no reason.
For no reason. No.
Yeah, for playing golf.
No. So you're missing the point. The man had signed a contract, right, for a job, right. And it was transparent over the course of the last few months that he couldn't fulfill his contractual obligations. Now, if you're employed by someone to fulfill contractual obligations and you can't fulfill it, well, then your employer has no.
Chris,
Sorry, Pat.
Your position.
Sorry, Pat. If you don't mind, right? So, if you don't fulfill your contractual obligations, right, then you're going to be dismissed. It's as simple as that. They obviously asked him to do certain things, and he says, "Well, I can't do it because I have something else in the pipeline," and that's what happened. Now, there was a great interview that was done on News Talk about a week or 10 days ago that I heard, and listen, I have no problem if he wants to go and take whatever money he wants. That's not the issue. And to be honest with you, if you offered the obscene amount of money that they've been offered, you take it yourself. And anybody who said they wouldn't are lying. But a little bit of upfront honesty here, that if he knew he was going to go, he should have basically said, "Lads, I'm away. Good luck. Thanks very much." Instead of forcing an employer to do what they had to do. And then he turns around at the press conference and made the most idiotic comment where he said basically, "I accept it, but I don't agree with it." Well, if you don't agree with it, how can you accept it?
I know, and obviously Stenson.
It doesn't make sense.
Well, I was surprised that he played those three fantastic rounds when you consider all the turmoil that he went through on the media and all.
I
But
hardly
nevertheless,
think $50 million in his back pocket is turmoil, Pat.
well, no, I mean he won 3.5 million for winning that
Yeah, and
tournament.
he got 50 million before he
I
played.
don't know that. There's speculation about that. All right, I don't know that.
Well, that's what they're all saying, Pat. So
Well,
he didn't do it for a pack of Smarties.
they're all saying a lot of things, and they still take money from wherever they get it anyway, and all the
Yeah, but he
tours.
didn't. I mean, let's be fair. He didn't do that for a pack of Smarties. He got whatever he was given. Okay, and I'm not saying he's right or wrong. The point of the matter is that when you sign a contract like in anybody else, and it's like Joe when he was playing for Leicester City, if he couldn't fulfill his contract and couldn't turn up for training, what do you think the chairman's going to do with Joe? Simple as that. He's going to say, Joe, you're out of here. Simple as that. Let's be fair. Let's be fair. It's a job in the end of the day, and if you can't fulfill your contractual
We wish,
obligations, out the door you go, son.
yeah, we wish Henrik the best anyway. Now,
Fine.
Derwynne, Luke Donald, the new Ryder Cup captain, are they running out of options? They have Luke Donald now as captain of the Ryder Cup. Think Derwynne,
Derwyn's on the
He's frozen again.
frozen again.
think Derwynne, you're frozen again. Maybe if you come in if you went out and come in again, as the man said, as Chris said about the back door, if you went out the back door and come in the front door again, we'll be fine. But anyway, that was our golf anyway. Look, Women's Irish Open is back in September. I said to you, Chris, at the start of the programme, it's down here, down the road from us. It's being held in Dromoland Castle, here down the road from where we are. And it's on September the 22nd to the 25th. That's the Women's Irish Open. And it's €35 for the 4 day ticket entry for the 4 days. I've sent it to Chris. But the way the prices are going for different events around this time, different things, I think that's a magnificent return for going for 4 days of golf. What do you think, Chris? Do you think the prices good?
Listen, €35 or 15, it's €15 for a day ticket. It's perfect. I mean, it's a good way to bring, especially for the kids. I think under 16s are free. So it's a great way to bring the kids to see a relatively top class event. Let's be fair. You're going to get maybe one of the two top Irish people going. You're going to get mostly the European tour here that will go, but you won't get the big names that are on, like say the Ryder Cup, the Solheim Cup team. You won't get them. You won't get them. It's just they're not going to be here for. But it's exposure for golf in the area. It's going to bring people to view one of the best parkland courses in Ireland. It's a fabulous setting. I played there many times myself. And I'm actually, hopefully the weather will hold out. And I know that I'm off for a couple of days that weekend. And I'm hoping to bring my son, whose 18th birthday is that weekend, to one of the days there. So, yeah, it's going to be, we'll make a day out of it.
We'll go down one of the days and we'll bring our tripod and our bit of camera and a bit of sound, and maybe we'll get to talk to a few people there. We might talk to you, Chris, if we run into you on the course as well.
I let me tell you, it'd be the hushed tones, because basically, I do want to put these ladies off. I'll be, we'll be talking like Ted Lowe in a snooker match, the whispering voice of Ted.
Oh my God! Remember poor old Ted Lowe.
Ted Lowe gave one of the best. One of the what do you say? If we all use watching in black and white, the red balls beside the pink and black.
Yeah, that was very good. Hot black stuff in black and white.
Actually, while we're here, just before you mentioned about the soccer, and I know Derwynne will probably go back into this, but Joe, I was watching a bonkers of a match on Saturday night. It was the German Super Cup final between Leipzig and Bayern Munich, and the young lad pointed out something which he'd never seen before, and it was actually unbelievably cute. Now, a bit of gamesmanship, but it was cute. So the score was 4-3 to Bayern. Absolute bonkers game. They won at 5-3 in the end. But the game was going into injury time, and Manuel Neuer, the German, the Bayern goalie, kicked the ball out because one of his players was injured, right? So he knew if he kicked it out, that Leipzig would have to give the ball back, right? Yeah. So your man got treatment, and then Leipzig went to throw the ball, right? But what they did was they threw the ball to one of their players, and he basically rolled it, right, towards the line. Now, the ball was actually on the line, right? So the Bayern player picked it up, ready to throw the ball in, and the referee blew his blew for a handball, and the linesman waved his flag, and and all the Bayern players were going, "What's going on?" He says, "The ball never crossed the line." So then it was now, instead of Bayern getting a free kick, instead of Bayern getting a throw in, Leipzig got a free kick in the last minute of the game, and they went ballistic. There were nearly fights at the end of the game over it, but I'd never seen before. Normally they would give the ball back and kick it over the line, but they didn't. They just kept the ball on the line, and Bayern fell for it.
Domestically, we'll just touch on domestically. The FAI Cup began during the week. That's the Irish FAI Cup, and I mean, it's a way into European football for clubs, and so it's a bread and butter thing, really. Well, we have to congratulate Sligo Rovers, who else? God, I'm not forgetting.
St. Patrick's Athletic.
St. Patrick's Athletic, who have gone into the next round of Europa League, Europa Conference, and they've earned €850,000 each for their trouble. So that's a very big boost for the League of Ireland club. And the standards in the League of Ireland have really, really improved. There's no
Well, I think it was synonymous after that win, right? Because actually, you know, there was some of the Scottish press was saying that Motherwell lost to Irish minnows, but the manager of Motherwell got sacked the following day.
He did.
Yeah.
He's gone. Yeah, he's gone. And Galway won the cup. They won their match. They beat non-league side this 7-0, and of course Pike Rovers were involved in the first round of the FAI Senior Cup. They had to go all the way up to Donegal, Letterkenny, outside Letterkenny. There's a friend of mine actually involved on the periphery of that club, Bonagee. They beat Pike 6-0, but Pike had a player sent off Madden early on in the match, so they
yeah, but Pat, there was 9 of the Pike regular players weren't playing. They were all very young players. It wouldn't be their actual junior team that actually played.
No, and I didn't know that till today, because I looked at the lineup and I only recognised maybe one or two.
Robbie Williams, who's the manager, Robbie played himself.
Yeah.
But there was very few of the first players. They just on holidays and they were sick. So it was mostly a very young team that was there.
Oh yeah, I mean, Waterford beat St. Pat's in the cup, and Wexford beat Sligo Rovers in the cup in Sligo 2-1. So I mean, obviously, Treaty United had a good win in the cup here against Ulster Celtic the other night. It's a small bit of it, 5-0 they won. But anyway, they're all into the hat now for the next round. That's the Irish domestic. The women's match now, and it was over 45,000 in Croke Park yesterday. Yesterday. What do you have on Monday? Yes, to see the Meath ladies doing a back-to-back in the All-Ireland Senior Ladies Football Championship, which was fantastic. And Laois beat Wexford in the intermediate, and the junior final was drawn between Antrim and Fermanagh, and that's on next weekend after next, the replay. But Meath, two of their players have signed senior contracts with the AFL in Australia. That's Vicky Wall and Emma Duggan. Vicky Wall has been a tourist strength. Anyone that's seen ladies football, she's just a magnificent player. She's so strong and athletic, and really, you know, I mean, they're really. Kerry were favourites, you know. Kerry were favourites in the bookies to beat Meath, believe it or not, because they had scored 16 goals in 4 matches or something, but they didn't get much change out of Meath, and they went 1 goal and 2 points up in the Saturday game to no score, and Meath just won it 3-10 to 1-7, so you can see what they did. They steamrolled them all together, and they were very fit. Fair play to the ladies again, and we wish the lads well. There's another 2 players, I forget their names, going down under as well. I suppose it's the way if you're young, if you're unattached and you're young and you're fit and you're offered a professional contract of any kind, sure, why not give it a go for 2 or 3 years, you know? Make a few bob, and you know, can't blame them. And because we don't have any professional soccer here for ladies, any professional sports for women in Ireland, well, we have rugby, have we, Chris? Do they pay them?
No, they don't.
No, they don't. They're amateurs.
No, pure amateurs. That's why at the last Six Nations there was a hullabaloo over them getting paid time off. You know, they can only meet. They can only meet up. Was it 48 hours before a game?
No, Andy, you've been watching, because I've been keeping an eye on your social media. You know, I'm one of your trolls on social media. I've been keeping an eye on you that you don't go off the straight and narrow. You know, just in case you might stray you've been watching the boxing, I know, in the Commonwealth Games.
We can't actually see it because it's on BBC, and BBC itself, all they're actually showing is swimming, cycling, and gymnastics. Now, I love them, but they're not showing boxing at all. So you have to get it on the iPlayer, which we don't have in Ireland.
No, we don't have access to it. No.
I have a thing for my television that I should be able to get it on, and I still can't get it. So most of us here can't get to see it, but one of the lads above in Belfast, he does it live off his television for us. So that's did a great win. Young Jude Gallagher tonight had a great win. He stopped his opponent who was English, and he was from Birmingham. This young fella that they were expecting great things from, because Jude is only barely out of youth, you know. But he stopped him in the first round, 2 standing counts. And
so that he had one more fight for him and to be a bronze, would it?
Yeah, he's into the quarterfinal. Carly McNall is in she won yesterday. She's in the quarterfinal as well. You have Amy Broadhurst in the quarterfinal. Yeah, I think two have lost and 3 have won, I think, at the moment.
Yeah. There you are. That's the Commonwealth Games. I know Joe or Chris, are you keeping an eye on it?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to watch a few events, you know, because there are some world class athletes, you know, the swimming. You know, you've got, you know, the Australians are very strong. The South Africans are very strong. There's a few English that are very, very strong. So you're going to watch that. You know, the cycling would be fairly strong as well. The boxing can be, you know, if they're from these islands, yeah. But I mean, I watched one fight last night, and I thought the decision. I mean, they were given standing counts when the guy who was getting the standing count was actually hitting back more and defending himself, and I just thought there's such a huge disparity between amateur and professional boxing. But not only that is that, but when you get like the world champion, say like the Olympic Games, right? That there's a level of refereeing, and then you obviously look at the Commonwealth Games, which will have actually a lot less quality when they're refereeing. And I just thought this Indian who was fighting, and he was a game fella or whatever, you know, he got 5 standing counts. I mean, that in 3 rounds, 5 standing counts should not happen in boxing. I'm afraid
if you're now, Chris, it's allowed now.
Yeah, but if you're getting 5 standing counts,
you're talking about the referees.
Yeah,
they are all and have to be 3-star world body referees. Every one of them that take part in the Commonwealth Games. They have to be. They are not just put in there. They're appointed by the world body.
Well, I mean, I've seen an awful lot of Olympic Games to see dodgy refereeing as well.
Yes, but it is dodgy. There's no one saying it isn't. It was dodgy. They're trying to clean it up, and at the moment, there's a new pathway coming in for referees and judges. But I mean, you're not going to get rid of them all.
No,
you know, but
there was also
it has improved an awful lot.
But there was also one fight where this young lad was just, you know, he had 3 cuts in the space of like a minute, and and there was actually a female referee, and she did her best, you know, because she was stopping the fight because the blood was pouring out of the lad. He had like 2 cuts around his eyes, another one on his forehead. And at the end of the day, the fight had to be stopped because, I mean, you couldn't have a fight stopped 4 times in the first 2 minutes, or they'd be still there.
Did she not take him over to the doctor?
3 times. 3 times she did. Oh, she did it 3 times.
And they'll examine them. If they think they can go on, they will give them the best to go on, you know?
It came to the point with the doctor.
The thing about it is, like, today now with going away from boxing in the gymnastics, the Irish boy, he had won. They found it very hard to get into the Commonwealth Games because there were 32 county sport, and I couldn't understand that because our boxers in Ulster can go to the Commonwealth Games, but he lost his gold medal. To the English boy, he got a silver medal today. He won the gold the last time, but you could see where he saw himself where he lost it. His legs came apart at one stage, and that's what lost it for him, you know.
Well, as far as I know, it was actually the gymnastics government body that stopped him from representing the North.
Yeah.
It wasn't anybody else. It was the Gymnastics World
That's what
Federation.
I'm saying, yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, they shouldn't have, because he lives in Ulster. Like our boxers, they live in Ulster. So that alone should qualify them to go to the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah, but that was
Doesn't
just
matter whether you're a 32 county sport or not, you know.
yeah, but that's because Anna, it's a lack of understanding about who these people are and where they come from.
But thank God they three of them, whoever they were, the three of them got in. Thank God at the end.
Yeah.
Now, SportsView is a program on their media. Tell all your friends about us. info@theirmedia.tv. Press the red button on the right hand side to subscribe to our channel. It's free of charge, and tell all your friends and share the channel and give us a like. Joe, just a question about the soccer season in the USA. You have the Eastern and the Western Conference. Is there more than 26 games in each of those conferences, or do they each play each other just home and away once, or is there twice?
To be honest, I don't really know how many games there are now that they play.
They have roughly 22 games played in each of the conference. I've just looked it up.
Right.
Yeah, and in the Eastern Conference, Philadelphia are leading by 45 points, and New York City are on 42, and Montreal are on 36. And on the Western Conference, for all our American people, they are gonna, believe it or not, there's one or two looking in. LAFC are 48 points on the Western Conference, and Austin 44, Minnesota 35, and Dallas 35 points. So if I'm right, there's only 4 or 5 more games left in conference. We'll clarify that for next Monday anyway, you know. But it's pretty tight, you know, on that. I mean, you have what? You have 28 teams in the top tier in the United States, so they should have some kind of a standard there. The national soccer team are talking about themselves, you know. They didn't.
And Wayne Rooney has taken over as manager of Washington, hasn't he?
Who?
Wayne Rooney. He's
Yeah.
taken over as manager of Washington.
That's right. Yeah, she'll be shopping over there now.
No, she's not going.
Isn't she?
No.
That was well. It's a sports show. We won't get into the other side.
Well, I thought you were. I'm surprised you didn't comment on the biggest sporting result this week.
I know, yeah. Now, Friday night is the beginning of the Premiership.
He's ignoring you, Chris.
I noticed that. Did you have Colin Rooney won? Rebecca Vardy didn't.
No.
I'll give you.
And rightly so.
I have the handbag under the table, Joe, in case there's any trouble. All right? So Friday night, the beginning of the Premiership, Crystal Palace are at home to Arsenal in the opening match of the day. So I'm assuming are we going to say that Arsenal will win that?
No.
No.
Crystal Palace. Oh God, no.
Saturday then, Fulham are at home to Liverpool on Saturday. And is that a practice match for Liverpool, is it?
I mean, if you're in the Premiership, there's no practice matches. You have to go out to win all your matches. And it doesn't matter whether it's a big team or a small team. And as we have seen down through the years, Liverpool could always beat the bigger teams and would fall to the smaller teams. So every time you play a game in the Premiership, you have to try to win it.
Just run through the fixtures on Saturday. You have Bournemouth at home to Aston Villa. Leeds are home to Wolves. Newcastle are at home to Notts Forest, who've made quite an astute number of signings. Spurs are at home to Southampton. Everton are home to Chelsea. They're the Saturday games. And the Sunday games confuse you totally. Leicester City are home to Brentford. Man United are at home to Brighton. And West Ham are at home to Man City. That's on the Sunday. Joe, how do you see it? I know we predicted last year, because I got them all wrong as usual. But Joe, how do you think yourself, knowing what you know about signings and all that, how do you see the Premiership? Will it be the same old faces up there on top?
You know, I do think so. I mean, I think it's going to be Liverpool, City, maybe. You know, Arsenal never quite convinced me that they're the real deal. They're very entertaining at times, but then they're very inconsistent at times. And like Chris said, they're playing Crystal Palace. That is a tough game for them. Since since he's gone there, he's done a terrific job at Palace, and they are a very, very difficult team to beat. So I think that's a very tough one. The problem with the likes of Liverpool playing Fulham and Villa playing Bournemouth, all the promoted teams, this is like a cup final day for them. So the worst thing that can happen to you sometimes is that you get one of the promoted teams, because they're still riding on the crest of a wave.
Yeah.
And it just might be something with the crowd all excited, especially if you're at home, with the crowd all excited. It might just push you over the top to get a shock result, which would not, be carrying on into the rest of the season. So
Would you expect
that's a tough one.
Would you expect Man United to beat Brighton at home?
Well, I would hope so.
But Brighton are a very hard team to beat as well. They've shown that last season.
Yeah, but Brighton's got a little bit of stuff going on. Their right back has said that he wants to leave, and his head's been turned by the money that's kind of been offered for him. And so there's a little bit of that going on, and that can, disrupt the camp. But they're a very well organized team. They play good football. Their biggest problem is they can't score goals. But I would hope that United, if they're going to be competing for Europe this next year, I would hope that would be a game that they would win. But now it looks like Ronaldo is becoming a problem more than he is an asset. And I see that he left early after being yanked at halftime, and he leaves the ground before the final whistle. So, and his agent is trying in the worst possible way he can to get him out there, to get him a transfer. But that doesn't seem
it's not fair.
To take him.
I'm not a Man United fan like you, but it's not fair what Ronaldo is doing to Man United at the moment. If he wants to go, tell him he wants to go. But don't go in and give half-heartedly and come back out again. He went in Man United, and be honest, everyone thought last year when he did go, Man United were going to win the league. Let's be honest, people did. Well, Man United supporters. But the thing about it is, before season started, and he knew he didn't want to play for them, if that's the way it is, then at the end of last season, that's when he should have tried to get his contract, buy his contract out or whatever he has to do, But I don't think it's fair on Man United or the rest of the United players what he's doing at the moment.
Can we just, Chris, put it to you about the perennial bridesmaids in Premiership soccer, which is, to my mind, Spurs? Is there any possibility that they could wind up in the top four?
Absolutely. I think what Conte seems to be doing in pre-season is making them fitter by all accounts. When you hear the stories of what they were doing over in South Korea, maybe they weren't fit enough to take on the training that he had done. So that's obviously something that he has looked at as an issue, right? That they were probably conceding too many goals late in the game or whatever, and that they were not fit enough. And I think what you're going to have in the first month is going to be extremely interesting, because you have about 6 matches. All right, I think it's 5 or 6 matches that are played in the calendar month of August, starting from next week. And by all accounts, the weather is still hot over there. So you're going to get a lot of wacky results. I think you're going to get a lot of high scoring. I think you're going to get a lot of players sucking on diesel, running on empty in the first 3 weeks because they're not match fit or whatever. Okay. Now, they're going to be physically fit, but, I think you're going to get match after match after match. There's going to be 6 matches, and then September will be interesting as well, because with the Champions League starting early this year, you're going to see the top 4 or 5 teams who are in that competition. They're going to be trying to maybe rotate their squad earlier, and it all depends what's going to happen after the World Cup. But I about injuries and things like that. But I will think that you're going to see an awful lot of crazy results in the first 5 or 6 weeks.
And what about the fact that is it settled now that Man United have Harry Maguire as captain
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, it looks
of
like
one
that
of the
way.
biggest, of one
I
of the
mean,
biggest clubs in the world?
well, he was captain last year, so I don't see any reason why he's not going to be in the captain. I mean, I mean, think of it this way. You know,
Well, surely a captain should have some qualities. That's what I mean.
well, 100%. I totally agree with you. But if they take the captaincy of him now, what does that mean?
Means
More
nothing.
confidence in him.
They have
100%, Anna. Anna's after hitting the nail on the head there. It basically means we now know you're not good enough to lead
Yeah.
this club. And
Yeah.
then he would look that as a way of trying to say, well, I need to get out of this place. But who's
Yeah.
going to take him? No one's going to take him on the
No.
money that he's on. So
That shouldn't matter in the grand scheme of things. It's for the club and the whole.
but look, Man United, I mean, listen, Anna made the point about Ronaldo, let the club should let him go. Maybe United would want to let him go, but nobody wants to take him on the money he's probably looking for. You have to imagine, he's 38 years of age. Who's going to take him now?
No one. That's the problem with
You
him.
know, it's interesting that you're talking there about Harry Maguire and the captaincy at United. Steven Gerrard just took the captaincy off of Tyrone Mings at Aston Villa and gave it to John McGinn. And he is telling Tyrone Mings that he needs to concentrate on his own game.
True.
And, maybe that's something that Harry Maguire has to do.
Yeah.
100%.
With all the flack that he's had, he needs to get back to basics and just doing the best that he can possibly do as a player. And put the ego thing aside. I mean, it's a great thing to be captain of a club. I know what it's like. I've done it. And it's hard when it's taken away from you. I understand that. But the most important thing is for you as a player to be the most successful player you can be for your club. And then everything else falls into place after that.
You see,
And
I feel, Joe, you're right what you're saying, but I feel that if Gerrard did that, he would have done that with one arm around Tyrone Mings' shoulder and says, come here, look, I'm doing it for your benefit.
Yeah.
Right? While I think if United do it, it would be basically a stick to hit his back with, and Maguire would take that as a personal affront to himself. Because I'm still in two minds whether this guy, the new guy, Ten Hag, is strong enough to manage a team United, which, if it was Bayern Munich, they would call it FC Hollywood. It's something like that. So I'm just thinking, is he strong enough to do it? And because he's an English captain, see, it's not just any ordinary player. This is the England captain we're talking about. Whether he deserves it or not, that's not the issue. The issue is that if the England captain loses club captaincy, I can guarantee you they will have a canary over in the English press over it.
Well, a Dutch woman brought England to the women to European success, so really the pedigree should hopefully translate to Ten Hag. We don't know. Anna, your top four, anyway, come on and put you on the spot. Your top four.
I told you last week, Liverpool, City, Chelsea, and maybe Tottenham.
And Joe, I noticed this is a hit to nothing. Your top four, your gut top four this time.
My gut top four, and I didn't say it earlier, but what the players that Conte has signed at Spurs, they're more pragmatic type players than the guys that are the entertainers that were there. And I think that Tottenham are going to be a big surprise this year. I really do. I think that last year, didn't they cost Liverpool the title when they drew with them at Anfield?
Yeah.
So even with the group that he had back then, he was getting them to play the way that he wanted. And now he's got a whole preseason and he's got 5 or 6 new players in, all his own kind of players. I think it's going to be very interesting to watch them. I think obviously Liverpool and Man City. To be honest, I don't see Chelsea. Chelsea seem to be in such disarray now compared to what they were at this time last year when they seem to be flying. So I think Chelsea are going to have a little bit of a struggle. I think that there may just be one surprise that finishes in the top 4 this year. And I'm not quite sure who that is. If Arsenal can get some consistency, then they could certainly pull that off.
And Chris, what do you think yourself, your gut top four this early season?
I actually do think Liverpool will probably win it again, right? But I'll give you my top four in no particular order, okay? It will be definitely Liverpool, Man City. I'm going to go for Chelsea because the manager's good, and they have a new regime. They're going to pump a lot of money in. There's another month to go in the transfer season. They may do some business. And I'm going to go for Spurs. And I think Arsenal could be mid-table again, which I think could be to the demise of the manager. I think one of the teams like Wolves or West Ham will be coming in fifth. Okay. But I really do think this could be open because of the season that's in it. This is going to be a long campaign. They've had a short summer break. They're going to have an extremely long year. The last match of the season is the 28th of May. You know, whatever happens between November and December in my opinion, would contribute to who can win the league by the end of May. I think that's going to be the crucial part, how this World Cup plays out.
I agree with Chris. I think the World Cup, breaking the Premiership in the middle, halfway through and go into World Cup. Who's going to come back with injuries? I mean, I think it'll be completely, we say, different Premiership this year after they come back from the World Cup.
I think that, Joe, I agree with you. I think Aston Villa has strengthened somewhat as well with Gerrard. I think they've consolidated somewhat. They have some nice players. I think maybe my own penny halfpenny is Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal and Aston Villa. There you are now. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Yeah. I think that the lads are right, though. The teams, the amount of players from Liverpool, Man City, I don't know about Spurs that will be going to the World Cup. That is going to have I think that's going to have a huge say on that.
Well, we don't
just the whole travel part of it, and then just being in that heat for so long and having to acclimate to it over there. And then the other teams are all going to be resting while that's going on. So they're going to have a mid-season break, and then they're going to come back flying. And the guys from the World Cup, we all know that we've seen it when it happens in the summertime with the new season coming on. Guys are just exhausted.
Yeah.
Well, I think the main thing, Pat, is this, right? Normally when a World Cup is on, right, between the end of the season to the beginning of the World Cup is usually between 3 or 4 weeks. There would be 8 days between the last Premiership match and the first day of the World Cup, and England are actually playing that first day. Okay, so there's 8 days. So you have not only got to play your last English league match, but you have to get then to travel to the destination, Qatar, for your World Cup and settle in, right? Now, it's not going to be too hot. It'd be about the 25, 26, right?
Yeah.
What we think, right? I mean, most of the matches we played, nighttime as well, okay? So that's not an issue. The problem is it's basically, it's going to be, you're playing every day. You're playing every 4 days, right? Every 4 days. You're only going to get a 3-day break between the matches. So the problem is that when you look at the amount of matches, and I'll tell you what, for next week's program, what I'll do is maybe see how many potential matches the top 4 will play between now and November 21st when the World Cup start. And then we can see, right, that if you're asking fellas to be playing 2 matches a week and then going to World Cup and then coming back, I mean, the Premier League is due to start on St. Stephen's Day, okay, which is only 7 days after World Cup final. And I mean, if you're an English team and you're hoping to win it, right, and if they do win it for want for a better phrase, right, then they're going to have some bit of celebration, but that's going to be curtailed by club management and saying, get your arses back into training. And that's the problem. That's the problem.
We have an awful lot to look forward to that, for the World Cup being one, obviously, and a novel area of the world it's in. But anyway, from Anna Moore, from Joe Waters, from Chris Price, and from Derwynne Honan. Hope you're well, Derwynne. Until we meet again, lads, from this edition of SportsView, take care and God bless.
Night all.
Night, everyone.
Bye now.
Night.
Bye, everybody.